The answer choices for this vocab question make it seem like it's going to be very difficult. They're complicated words, they're long words, but the sentence itself, where we need to start this whole thing, is actually very clear about what the word recognized is going to mean. We have some important clues. So let's take a look at the sentence. You find upon the statute books under Washington and the early presidents provisions of law showing that in the Southwestern territories, the right to hold slaves was clearly implied or recognized. So clearly implied is right next to recognized, so it probably means the same thing. But it continues, while in the Northwest Territories it was prohibited, right? So now we have an opposite, right? So this sentence is doing two things. It's telling us the definition of recognized with a synonym, so it could mean something like implied, and they're telling us the definition with an opposite, an antonym, right? So it means something like not prohibited. And prohibit is a very important word for the SAT. It means that something is not allowed. So basically, it's not allowed. So that would probably be the best guess that I would try to use to sort through these choices now, is that holding slaves was clearly implied or allowed, okay? Now, if I go to these choices, nothing really jumps out as definitely meaning that. And the words at the beginning seem to kind of jumble this up a little bit, but if I focus on the words at the end, I can kind of use my strong words strategy here to help me out. Because if something is allowed, you can do it. All these, the wrong answers have words that go way beyond that definition. So for something to be commended, commended means praised. So saying that something is allowed is one thing, but saying that something is praiseworthy, is so amazing that we need to commend it, that's going way further. And so this is a good example where like maybe the connotation is right, it's a positive choice, and they clearly have like a positive connotation to the word in the sentence, but it's too strong, it's going too far. We have no evidence here from this sentence that something is being praised, so that goes too far. Then when we get to something like recalled, well, recall means to like remember, so they're not remembering anything. That just doesn't even make sense with the idea of like slavery being allowed or prohibited, so that's just wrong. And then confessed, well, to confess is usually to say like you did something wrong and you're kind of coming clean about it, but that doesn't really apply to like a law. And so this is just a very confusing word here. And so the weakest choice ends up being right, formally acknowledged. Something is acknowledged, it's recognized. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, like slavery is part of this system. They're acknowledging that it's a thing in the Southwestern territories. So it's almost like it doesn't really say that much anyway, and that's why it's right. And so we want to stick to the lines as much as possible. Sometimes the sentence itself gives us really important clues that we can use. Sometimes it doesn't. But no matter what, when we start getting down to a couple of choices, think like the same way that we do for the other reading questions. Like strong words are suspicious. We need to have evidence that they're right. And if we don't have that evidence, that's not a good sign. So the difference between something being acknowledged and being commended, both positive words, but commended is way more positive, and so we should be very skeptical of that, and we would want some sort of other word to prove that, and we do not have that here.